Alright mate, this is Artifacts, it's the producer mindset. On this episode I want to talk about how you can get the best out of feedback and why this is so important to how you succeed as a musician or grow, you know? So basically, the main thing is like taking feedback from a learning perspective and not taking it to heart. And this is the problem most people suffer with, not just producers but everyone, like not just in music as well, but this is like one of the key things that you need to like sort out. So basically, the best way to train your mind to get rid of that is, I think it's like to always be the student, you know? Like no matter how good you are, no matter where you're at in your creative career, basically what you got to do is just come at it from like a student perspective. So everything that you do is just like a learning process, and you never actually get to that final stage. You've got to accept that you're always in the stage of learning. And then when you like really like cement this in your mind, then you don't really get that feeling of like, oh no, I'm not good enough, or like, oh, this wasn't good enough. When you get like feedback that's really critical and honest, and you're like, yeah, I know that's actually true, you know, you don't get like so attached to it, because you're like coming from this frame that it's like an ongoing, never-ending process of always learning. So like adopting that mentality first and foremost is like absolutely key. And then once you have done that, then like how do you get the most out of feedback so that you can improve quickly? And like not necessarily, quickly is a bad word because then you get impatient if you try to improve too quickly, but consistently is probably a better choice of word. So how do you get the feedback part right in your like career so that you improve consistently? Basically, get good people to give you feedback, right? But don't also narrow yourself down to like a small select group of people who are good at giving feedback, because you should be getting feedback from as many sources as possible. This is why like social media and Instagram and putting your stuff, testing things out is the best way to do it, because you get like mass feedback, and people are too scared to like put themselves out there and do it like this, but then they're missing out on the opportunity which is available to you, which is to get like shite loads of feedback from different people at the same time, which is pretty amazing. And you can, in that way, you can really skyrocket like your progress. Like if you're a creative person and you're trying to improve by showing yourself, you know, people will like say like, oh, you know, this could be done better or this could be done better. You don't take it to heart though, because you're always learning, and you take as much knowledge from everyone as possible, and then, you know, you can only get better basically, right? Aside from that, I think it is important to have a few people that are like key in your industry or your field that are really, really good at giving feedback and that you can kind of rely on and trust. But I'm just saying that don't like narrow yourself down to only these people. Like it's really good to get like a group opinion of like as many people as possible. So once you've done that, you know, you've got a few people that are like special for feedback that you're like putting your stuff out there for everyone to see, so you can get like like a world response level mass feedback. You're not like trapped in this mindset of like, oh, it's not really good enough, I'm just gonna give up and quit, because you're always coming from a learning perspective. Once you got that, what's left? That's it really, sorted. Absolutely sorted once you got that. Said everything I need to say, you know, just like show stuff. Another way to think of it, so that you're not taking feedback to heart and that you're also putting out your best, is to like kind of surrender yourself to the art form for which you are working in and which you admire. You know, don't try to be the best in that art form, rather surrender to it and, you know, just do it for the actual art form and not for yourself. So it's like a dedication that exceeds your own personal needs, and it's quite hard because you always get trapped in like wanting to, you know, do stuff that's right for you and that's best for you. But like when you do let go of that and you just like do it for the actual art form, so you're kind of like surrendering and dedicating yourself to the art form, then by doing that you realise that doesn't matter what actually your own opinion is of your work, and it is what the group's opinion is, or you know, the general consensus of like, is this good and how could this be better? And then, you know, when you realise that, then you don't take it to heart, because you're like doing it for the art. So you basically have to go this route of like exposing your stuff even if you don't think it's good enough, so that you get the feedback, so that you can improve it, so that you're serving the art form in general. So that's like, it's hard to sometimes conceptualize that idea and like roll with it like that, but that's like the best way that you actually become better at what you're doing. So it's like detaching your own ego from it in a sense, which is definitely not easy to do, but yeah, like just try and do it like for the art form, you know. Another key thing is like, what's good feedback, what's bad feedback, right? If something crops up more and more, you know, you get the same kind of idea or tip or feedback from more than one person, then you can generally trust that particular opinion, right? Because it's you know, it's coming from different sources, and you know, it's just generally a lot easier to trust, right? But it's also important to find those key people that you can rely on to get feedback from, right? So definitely always be on the lookout for feedback, good people. What makes someone good at giving feedback is they don't discourage you, because they find out what is actually good in what you're doing and what makes sense and what you like, where your kind of uniqueness is. That's the most important point, because if it's all completely bad, then you are going to be demotivated. So don't get feedback from someone who's just going to like troll you and be negative just for no reason. Like, you got to find someone who is realistically able to actually see like the positive sides as well, but then also not afraid to tell you like the negatives and how you can improve those specifically as well, like with detailed kind of answers. So those are the people that you want, you know, people that are in your industry and that have the extra knowledge, and they're also nice and they're also positive about helping. So that's the best kind of person you want for feedback. You've got your cool feedback crew that you can rely on for stuff. You're not afraid to share your stuff with everyone, so you can get like mass feedback from people, and you're always coming from the perspective that you're learning and you're surrendering to the art form. You're trying to get rid of your ego as much as you can and just do it for the art and not care about your own opinion of what you're doing, but just sort of serve the art form and the people that enjoy it. Once you've done those 4 things, then you're pretty much on to the last thing, which is give yourself feedback. Look at your old stuff, right, and be like, oh, this was actually this thing that I did here was actually really good, and some of my new stuff is maybe not as good as that, and maybe I could go a little bit more in that direction. Or maybe this new thing that I've done is really, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really cool and I want to keep going in this direction. But like, use yourself as a way to also get more feedback. And it's the best way is to like listen to something with fresh ears that you haven't heard for a while. Like, give it, I would say, 10 days. You know, you're working on a song, you're starting to get tired of it. Don't listen to it for 10 days, right? Come back to it, and then it's basically a new piece again in a way, and you can instantly hear it in a different way and like do kind of feedback for yourself as well. So that the 5th main thing is to get really good at doing that as well. And then yeah, literally it's just time. You've got to get away from it for 10 days or so, then come back to your art if you're a musician, whatever, creative, and then look at it again and then see if you can improve it again. Yeah, so when you start to trust your own senses more, you're training the feedback muscle, right? That's what this video is all about. So putting your stuff out there, not caring, you're training your feedback muscle, giving it to people that you admire that are really good at giving feedback, and not taking everything to heart and just like focusing, coming at it from a learning perspective. Always trying to do that builds your feedback muscle, right? So we're building our feedback muscles, and as we do it more and more, they become stronger, and you start to just care less. Like, you just really don't care like what people think of your work, because you know you're just improving it and you're doing the best you can with all the resources that you have available to improve it. And it's just like working out. Like, you get this sense of like how to take feedback and how to improve, and it just becomes common practice, and it's just easy in the end, and then you don't care. You get better and you put your stuff out there, and it's all good. All right? Sweet. I hope that's a helpful tip for you guys. Like the video, comment, subscribe, check out my Patreon for feedback and tutorials and more, and have a nice day.